Razabani for IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast, is 2022. With me, wouldn't be right to start off the year without speaking to the knowledge himself, Mr. Spencer Fearon. Spence, firstly, Happy New Year. How have the holiday seasons been? How's the family? Everything going well?
Everything's been fantastic. Everything's been really, really good. So yeah, got some bad news yesterday about one of my cousins passing away in Jamaica. So my condolences to the Ham family. Yeah, but apart from that, we're not starting on a dampener. I'm grateful to be here, and even more so when you hear of so many people who are passing, you got to be grateful for life, my friend.
No, absolutely. Condolences to your family and friends. Spence, we haven't actually caught up for a little while, so there's quite a few little hot topics going on at the moment, or have been recently in boxing. I just want to start firstly, the board decided that there'll be no boxing in January. It was surprising to hear this for many people because obviously the government didn't ban any sporting events. The government, football continues, darts continues, everything continues, but boxing. So were you a bit surprised with Robert Smith's obviously actions?
No, I think safety is paramount, and Robert Smith, he's the head of the board of the border control for a reason. So I can't really go against him saying there's going to be no boxing in January, because there was no big major fights apart from we was going to get the USyk fight, but there were no real big fights. And I'm happy because February 11th, MTK, the ESPN sports show, goes on at Bethnal Green, York Hall. And I'm looking forward to see Sugar Shy do some more sweetness.
I remember a couple of months ago, was it November, when Sugar Shy was out? And you do rate him highly, don't you?
I really do. I really do rate the kid. I rate the kid a lot. I think a lot of people should tune into him. I'm very close to his dad, Marcus. I'm distantly related to his mother, Mandy. They're from Gogglebox. So, yeah, I'm always going to scream that kid's name, because sometimes you can scream things and people say, you're just hyping because no, I'm hyping because this kid's real.
Spence, as always, probably want to start off in the heavyweight division. A lot happened. Anthony Joshua took the loss to Alexander Usyk. Tyson Fury then beats Deontay Wilder. The WBC then say that it will give 30 days for Tyson Fury to negotiate a fight with Usyk. If he can't negotiate, then he will have to face his mandatory. That 30-day then passed. We then heard Anthony Joshua then talk about potential step-asides. And then while that talk is going on, all of a sudden it gets announced that Dillian Whyte is finally the mandatory challenger for the WBC belt that Tyson Fury holds. I was covering the Chisora Parker fight week, and I said to Eddie Hearn, how are these negotiations going? And he said, well, we haven't really started these negotiations because we don't know what the split is. So the question was, what is this split? Announced last week by the WBC that the split is 80-20 in Fury's favor. I just wanted to get your thoughts on their comments.
Usually it's 60-40, right? And especially like within a capacity of something like this, where Dillian Whyte is the interim champion, I thought that was going to be taken into consideration. So Dillian Whyte maybe was looking at a 55-45 split in Tyson Fury's favor. That's not happened. My heart goes out for Dillian, because what else is Dillian Whyte meant to do, right? But famously, if we flip the page back to 1992, Riddick Bowe should, after beating Evander Holyfield for the undisputed world title, should have then defended against Lennox Lewis. Instead of him defending against Lennox Lewis, he throws away the WBC belt in the bin, a famous picture of him doing so when he came to London, and Lennox Lewis was then gifted the crown. I think Dillian Whyte, being an interim champion, was maybe thinking, if Tyson Fury doesn't fight me, then I'll get gifted the crown, and then I could end up defending against Anthony Joshua. It would be a mega fight. allegedly Anthony Joshua might be taking the step aside money for Usyk and Tyson Fury to end up fighting. It's all semantics, we don't know. But my heart goes out for Dillian Whyte. But what happened at the time when Evander Holyfield lost his crown to Riddick Bowe offered Lennox Lewis 10%, 90-10 in Riddick Bowe's favor. That's what he offered to him. He said, this is what's on the table. I'm the A side. Right. Take it or leave it. Right? Lennox Lewis said, you must become an idiot. I'm not taking it. And Lennox Lewis, in his mind, thought, I would knock out Riddick Bowe. We saw famously a picture the other day of Lennox Lewis while he's doing his work on for Showtime. You saw him and Riddick Bowe with a picture. Riddick Bowe then did the same thing to Evander Holyfield. Yeah, previously Evander Holyfield lost the title to Riddick Bowe, did the same thing, said, all right, you want to challenge me for the world title? It's a 90-10 split, right? Evander Holyfield just said, you know what, being the warrior that he is, listen, I just want my titles back. And he took the 10%. And when he took the 10%, we know famously the fan man comes into the ring, Evander Holyfield, then being trained by the late great Emmanuel Stewart, gets a decision over Riddick Bowe to become a 2-time heavyweight champion of the world. Moral of the story, sometimes you get dealt these bad cards, right? But I wouldn't want it to be like what happened to him, I believe, when he turned down the Anthony Joshua fight, when he got offered the $5 million, but there were so many intangibles onto him, why he turned it down. But here, I reckon, with this now, it is, I think it's ghastly, especially about the amount of money that could be generated. But I do believe that Dillian should take it. Simply because, and people think I'm crazy, Dillian Whyte genuinely believes in his hearts of hearts, not no tough talk or anything else, that he can beat Tyson Fury. Reason being, they've sparred many rounds together. Reason being, he knows Tyson Fury. He wants that fight, badly wants that fight. So what I'm saying is this, if you so badly want it, then take the 20%. Just take it and do what you believe that you can do. Because a lot of people would think, well, it's like, trust me, Dillian Whyte is live in that fight. He's live. Yes, Tyson Fury is going to be the favorite, but Dillian Whyte is live in that fight. And sometimes for the skullduggery, you should call the bluff on the skullduggery. Because I believe if Dillian, and this is no disrespect to Anthony Joshua, I believe if Dillian Whyte had fought the Anthony Joshua that fought Ruiz the first fight, Dillian Whyte would have beat that guy. So sometimes you got wipe a nose and take and play with the cards that dealt with you. I believe that you should take the fight. Because what's going to happen is you wait so long to get your chance. Now you're going to think like everything, you want every particular thing to be right. Dillian Whyte knows. There's loads of times that he's fought with injury. There's loads of times that he's fought where he's had mental issues and strains because certain family members have passed away or certain family members have been ill or this and that and all the rest of it. Sometimes you just got to take it. I said, all right, then this is what you're trying to do. Just take it. Take it and you know what I mean? And walk in your purpose. Walk in your purpose. Collide with your destiny.
Spence, you mentioned there about a 60-40 split and then said that with Dillian being the interim champion, it should be 55-45, roughly around that mark. Frank Warren did an interview with IFO and he said that we should take in consideration in their previous purses in their previous fights, and kept alluding to Dillian Whyte earning around 300,000 in his last fight. And we are giving him more than 300,000 in terms of the 80-20 split. Do you feel like, I'm going to put it as blunt as this, the fact that Dillian Whyte has taken this down the court of arbitration and has said, listen, I'm going to do what's right to get justice, that the WBC have just granted what Bob Arum and Frank Warren have requested for in giving Tyson Fury the 80-20?
Number one is this. I don't believe Dillian Whyte has earned £300,000 for his last fight. That's number one. You know what I mean? I don't want to get into the business of it, but I don't believe that he earned that. You know what I mean? I don't care what they put that on paper. I don't believe that he earned that. Right? Let's not get into that. I'm not talking a man's business. That's number one. Number two is this. It will be a massive fight in the UK. A massive fight in the UK. Right? And given it, it's like, yes, Tyson Fury is the A side, but look at Dillian's resume. Look at his resume. Go look at the guys on his, look at that. Parker, Brown when he was unbeaten, Rivas. Go look at his resume. You know what I mean? Derek Chisora, up to now, no one ain't knock out Derek Chisora like that. Right? Just look at the man's, look at his resume. So I think off of that, there's certain things should be taken into consideration, or maybe Dillian Whyte's advisors or who's handling his business to sit down with those and try to fresh out something, because the fight needs that fight does need to happen simply because he earned the right to fight for it. He was WBC #1 contender for the longest time with Deontay Wilder had the crown. He never got the shot. You know what I mean? Just give the guy a shot.
Spence, Bob Arum has clearly said that Tyson Fury is not going to wait around until March, until his arbitration is completed, or, well, commences rather. We don't know when it's going to be actually be completed. And Tyson Fury will probably be in the ring with someone like Helenius or an Andy Ruiz. Does Dillian continue to wait, or does Dillian take an interim fight to keep his mind active, to keep his body and soul intact? Because this could drag on for a while.
It will drag on for a while, but I don't, you know what? My heart goes out for Dillian Whyte. It does, it goes out for him. And that's that. Because what more is a man meant to do? And it just seems like Deontay Wilder was champion for the longest time, it didn't happen. He gets offered to fight Anthony Joshua, and he was nitpicking about the money, and then I think it was like the options that they had on him after the fight, why he said, nah, forget this. Dillian has earned the right to behave like he's a boss, because in his own, he's a boss. So if he has to sit down and wait even longer, then we don't know what's going to happen. My heart goes out for him, but I just want to, you're a fighter, fight. Period.
Would you be disappointed if it doesn't happen?
I would be, because it'd be great for British boxing. I think it's a fight that, I mean, boxing right now is buzzing in, heavyweight division buzzing. But I think just for British boxing, to see two live wire British heavyweights go at each other, who are in their relative peaks, go at each other, then that can only be a good thing, right? And we have never, we ain't had that. We ain't had that when guys were in their peak. We had Bruno versus Lennox Lewis for the WBC title in Cardiff, Wales. But could I put my hands up and say those guys were at their ultimate peak? No, there wasn't. There were, I mean, one, Bruno, even though he became world champion after that, was slightly past his peak. But it was still a good Bruno. And Lennox Lewis was trying to find his peak. So no, but here we've got two guys at their peak.
Well, we look forward to see what materializes over the next couple of weeks, couple of months with regard to this. Spencer, staying with the heavyweight division, Anthony Joshua, I know it was rumored, is he going to get a new trainer? Is he going to go to America? Linked to all these different names. He's been seen in Dubai training with Anthony Wilson. I don't know too much about Anthony Wilson, if I'm really honest, but I'm sure you probably...
Good people, man. Yeah, chill. I'm going to keep it 100. Chill, he lives out there, he trains out there. Chill Wilson's good people. I met him last year when I was covering the ESPN fight with Carl Frampton's unfortunate challenge for the WBO super featherweight crown against Jamel Herring. And I met Chill out there and we had good talk. Then it was nice, like him being American and that, but he knew who I was, and we had a really, really good chat. And the guy knows his boxing. And it's mainly because, like, Anthony Joshua, you can see, if there's anybody else trying to do what Anthony Joshua's doing, it'll go underneath the radar. Anthony Joshua's trying to find himself, but he's Anthony Joshua, one of the biggest stars in sport. So he's trying to find himself. Gone are the days, right? Gone are the days when we could not be on social media. Gone are the days where, because everything's, I mean, people have to make a cup of tea now, they're posting it. So that's gonna go viral. It's Anthony Joshua. So he's in the gym trying to find himself, and you know what? I don't think it's a bad thing, but I want you to realize that going on pads with somebody, and it's only when people who have trained fighters will really know. Going on a pad with somebody, it is a very emotional and a spiritual thing, right? And not everybody can teach pads, right? You can teach combination, but you understand the purpose behind the combinations, it's totally different, right? So there's only very few people that I met throughout boxing that can do this, right? And it is it's a fundamental, but it's not an incremental thing. It's fundamental because it does teach you punch dexterity, it does teach you right. But when you go on the pads, and Anthony Joshua is just trying to pick things now. He's trying to pick things. He's trying to pick things. You know what I mean? He's trying to say that people were trying to say that I was this upright, stiff British kind of guy. You know what I mean? People trying to say that I didn't have no rule of beat, or when I came to the box, I couldn't really box sexy. I couldn't do none of these kind of things. So he's going around, right? And styles are different, right? Culturally, styles are different. So Anthony Joshua's been around Eddie Reynoso. Anthony Joshua's been around Hunter. He's been around who was it? When he's out in America recently. Who else was he around when he's out?
Ronnie Shields.
Ronnie Shields, good trainer, right? So he's been around these guys. So all he's doing is trying to pick little pieces because he knows, like, he's been taught boxing mainly, Floyd Mayweather recently in the gym with me, right? He's basically been around the European style of boxing, right? And it's not even the European style of boxing, but more the British style of boxing, because you can't say that the Ukrainians have the same style as British fighters. They don't. You know what I mean? Eastern Europeans don't have the same style as authentic British style of boxing. Even though British style of boxing now is kind of splintering off to kind of being very Anglo-American. Reason why? Because the heroes that we watch have been American. And we'll steal bits from here. And so all he's doing is trying to pick up bits. There ain't nothing wrong with it. But I'm going to be real with you. As a trainer, but also as a guy that I reckon could hype up Anthony Joshua, Chill Wilson can hype you up, and trust me. That guy, you have a conversation with that guy, when you leave, you feel 10 feet tall. Swear for God. Good people. But all he's doing is he's trying to pick bits. I ain't knocking the guy for trying to pick bits, man. This is what Anthony Joshua should have done about 5 years ago. Right? But the fear of the system, now we got to keep him here. Don't need to listen to none of that. So what happens? Your style becomes very authentic to British boxing, right? And then your scope of learning will be limited only to that. So I rate him for going out and let me just try other things. You know what I mean? Is anybody complaining? Wait, the next thing. Is anybody complaining that Tyson Fury is based out in America right now? Or you've got American training now, he's based out with the Cronk guys in, he's being taught now by Sugar Hill. Anybody complaining about that? So nobody should begrudge Anthony Joshua trying to find himself. He's trying to find himself mentally, spiritually, and fundamentally. He's out there trying to find himself. So we can't knock him.
Spence, he hasn't officially said that he has left Robert McCracken, and he may well go back to Robert McCracken. But let me just be hypothetical.
He ain't going back. I don't believe so.
If he doesn't go back, Eddie's made it clear the rematch with Usyk is April, May. How much of a risk will it be to find this new trainer, to learn this new way of boxing, or changing his style, or going back, whatever it is, to improve him to beat Usyk? How much more pressure is it going to be because he's going to align himself to someone brand new?
It is, but it's more to do with somebody connecting with you on the mental and emotional capacity. That's the real thing. I feel Anthony Joshua, right? We know that you're a gifted athlete, right? I think there's certain things fundamentally that needs to learn in boxing, right? But, you know, there's an old saying in Jamaica that you've got too many irons in the fire and none are getting hot. So maybe you could be going around trying to grab too much information too much. You know what I mean? Sometimes you got to stick to the basics and stick to the basic, but just have a different perspective on the outlook of what you're going to do. Can Anthony Joshua do it? It's going to be difficult in that time because Usyk's a G. Let's call it as it is, right? But I truly believe it. And he said, rude boy, I'm just going to have it with you, but be smart with it. I believe that he can come out victorious.
We'll wait and see. Spence, Derek Chisora, as always, gives us entertaining fights, gave us another great entertaining fight against Joseph Parker. I didn't speak to you about the fight. I know we spoke off camera on the phone and stuff, but what a performance from Derek, firstly. And obviously, congratulations to Joseph for winning the fight. But how much has Derek got left in him? You know, Eddie Hearn is talking about a Deontay Wilder potential for Derek Chisora.
Listen to me and listen to me good. Pugilistic dementia is very real in professional sports, right? Or boxing. I've seen many guys who have been in hard fight after hard fight after hard fight, and are now, and those same guys are driving in their car, not knowing how to get home. So would I want to see Derek Chisora continue to fight? As a person that's known Derek since he's been about 16 years old, no, I wouldn't, right? But this is going to be the hypocrite in me. He may never, ever be the bride and always the bridemaid, right? But he's one of those bridemaids that stand out, right? Let's just be real. You know what I mean? You know, you go to a wedding, you see the bride, rah, she's hot, you know, have to get a number, right? Like Derek Chisora, not me, I'm married, right? But I'll say Derek Chisora may be in that position. But I remember doing an interview with you and Johnny Nelson about 3 years ago when he gets knocked out by Dillian Whyte. And I was saying he's been a brilliant ambassador for boxing, but I'd like to see him call it a day. That was 3 years ago. Since within those 3 years now, you know what I mean? He's had hard fights. He had losses in those fights. And it has to take a toll on him. Has to take a toll on himself. But I think the thing with Derek Chisora is this, is like, and he's not, go speak to Dave Courtney, I'll tell you, he's the guy who'll come in early to the gym. He'll watch the young kids do their bits. You know what I mean? And then he'll do his bits. Then he'll stay afterwards to watch the other guys in the camp spar. He's giving pointers. He absolutely loves the game, right? But sometimes certain people need saving from themselves. But I'm saying I would like for him to have like one last closing fight. Yeah? One last closing fight. And if it happens to be Deontay Wilder, then let it be Deontay Wilder. Before I'm saying, nah, they wouldn't get killed. But I was saying this about David Hick. When David Hick was managing Derek Chisora and he was getting ruled out to fight this guy, fight that guy, oh, he's fighting USyk, now he's fighting. I'm saying, well, they want Derek Chisora to die. But the thing about it is this, I think it was Angelo Andy that said this in an Ali documentary. He said, like, nobody has a right to play God on anyone's career, right? And you don't. So, but if something was to happen to Derek Chisora, everybody is saying, go Derek, you go do this, go do that. How would you feel? Do you know what I mean? And I want to tell you the next thing. All those people, all those fans cheering for you, all those people, and the adulation, the attention, when it's done, it's done. No one will give a damn. And this is the truth. They don't care. You know what I mean? If you end up walking on your heels, they don't care. You know what it is? I look at him now. Oh, I remember him. Nobody don't really feel sorry. They'll say for you, oh, yeah, I feel really sorry. They lost for about 2 seconds. So I wouldn't want to see Derek Chisora hurt himself, but I know he doesn't want to give up. He doesn't want to stop fighting. And so if they could give him the right fights, then he should continue. But me personally, I don't want to sound like a hypocrite, but me personally, I'd like to see him retire. He does. I mean, you've done it all. You trained for world titles. You know what I mean? You've been a British, European, Commonwealth champion. You have far surpassed anything that many people didn't think that you was gonna go and do. And you've actually done it. And like I'm seeing him fight now, and he's actually reminiscent of a 50s fighter now, right? But punches take its toll, and I would just want to see him get hurt. He's got a beautiful family, beautiful missus. I just want to see him get hurt. And I know he's not going to take no offense by me saying what I'm saying, but I'm saying it anyway.
Okay, well, Spence, just before I let you go, just a hypothetical question here. if you had the opportunity to see two fights of fighters, obviously, who are currently fighting, two fights that you would like to see this year to take place in any weight division, what would those two fights be?
Any weight division. I would like to see, I'm gonna be biased on this one as well, but I'd like to see Maxie Hughes, who, as far as I'm concerned, is the archetypal boxer. Forget that he was Bismarck. The archetypal boxer. I would like to see Maxie Hughes in with any of the world champions. You know, he holds the IBO title, which is in comparison to minor title, right? I'd like to see him in with a Devin Haney. I'd like to see him in with a Tank, or even a Cambosis. I'd like to see him in with one of those guys. Simply just because I've never seen someone say, I just want to fight. And technically, he is one of the most improved boxers in the country. Technically, I just like to look at the technique, and the technique that is demonstrated by him is absolutely phenomenal. So I'd like to see that. Yeah, obviously, I would like to see an undisputed crown title fight. I would like to see at heavyweight. So I would like to see an undisputed champion, whether it be Tyson Fury fighting USyk, because that's they'll hold all the belts. I like to see that fight. You know what I mean? I still like to see Joshua in with Fury. I still like to see Dillian Whyte in with Fury. So there's so many, like, which fight you want to go see? But the one fight that it seems like there's a gap in the catalyst of skills right now, it seems like there's a girth, is Terence Crawford versus Errol Spence. You know what I mean? 3 years ago now, everyone's going crazy, like, oh, we went too short, like, oh. But now it seems like Terence Crawford was so dominant in his display against Sean Porter that the gap has now widened. And since the car crash, Errol Spence hasn't seemingly looked the same, but I would still like those two to fight, for the simple fact that that would be for the true undisputed welterweight crown, and it'd be reminiscent of September 1981 Sugar Ray Leonard versus Tommy Hearns. So that is why I would really like to see that fight. But there's many fights I'd like to see. But yeah, that's the fight that I believe that should happen, because that would be like a throwback to the 80s. And we've had great welterweight fights since Ray Leonard and Tommy Hearns, but I don't think the ones that we've had have really lived up to the living up in the unifications. But I think that one will. I really do.
Okay, Spence, always a pleasure catching up with you. It's our first of 2022. I'm sure there'll be many, many more of these, hopefully more in person. We had one last month, I think, was it? Beginning of December.
Yeah. But yeah. Well, no doubt I'll see you on the 11th at the York Hall.
I'll be there.
I'm really looking forward to that show. And I want to say to everybody, I wish you all a prosperous 2022, because 2022 is actually for you. Grab this thing with two hands, you know what I mean? And live for the now. You know what I mean? Live for the now. Peace, 2 fingers, I'm out.
Spencer Fearon, IFL TV. Thank you very much.